Did you miss us? Well, we missed you, and we were not going to miss this Tuesday slate. A 5-gamer on DraftKings on a Tuesday, and my guy, the OG Money Mike Holland, is going to join us to break it all down. Let's get to it. Recording live from somewhere. This is One and Done.
Get out the insurance cards, get out the copays. The office is open, my friends. Brought to you by DrRoto.com.
It's time once again for everybody to come aboard that Green Screens Media train. Welcome to One and Done. Bienvenidos a todos a One and Done, your fast break of college basketball information. We are powered by the world's, the multiverse's greatest website, and that would be DrRoto.com. I am your sometimes humble host, the conductor of the aforementioned Green Screens Media train, and I go by the name of Jay Heinrich. Find me on X at Dr. William Cannon, but you are not here to see me. You are here to see that gentleman on the right side of your viewing device. There he is. He is the captain of the Green Screens Media ship. Follow him on X at MC Holland 34. Hadn't been doing too shabby in those DK streets himself these days. That is my guy, Mr. Mike Holland. Mike, what it do?
It goes, man. It's it's been a good week. I'll say at least the weekend was fire. On Friday, thought I was gonna get the first prize there, but we'll talk about my boy Colin Boswell later on. But third and fifth and Friday night's big jam took home about $750, so that was pretty sweet. Got ninth today, so that was pretty nice. Made a little bit of money. So it's been good, man, and I'm excited because we're gonna start to get into conference play. Things are going to start to tighten up for us, and the contests are only going to get bigger as football season winds down. But I'm excited to rock and roll in this 5-gamer that we have.
Yeah, 5-gamer on a Tuesday, and it wouldn't be One and Done without our guy C-Thuggin in the chat, our guy Cam hopping in there saying that the intro music countdown is fire, something new that we just decided to start throwing in there.
Yep.
Given, you got the notifications on, right? Of course. You've hit the notification bells. You've turned those on. So you get the notification, and then you hop in, and there's a countdown. You don't even miss the cold open. You get the whole show now because we dropped that little intro in there. The music is fire, and we appreciate you, Cam. There he is right there flashing up on your screen. And guess who's pushing those buttons tonight? Our guy, Eric, the Blue, behind the scenes on the ones and twos doing his thing. And then also not too far away, never too far away, our guy at The Real Napier, Napesy Hustle, doing things behind the scenes and doing, he's got his other podcast. That guy's all over the place. I got Napesy Hustle doing things like where in the world is Napesy Hustle? That's what it is. But where in the world is Green Screens Media on YouTube? Well, you're there. Green Screens Media on YouTube is where you need to be. Hit all those buttons. And while you're on the socials, make sure you follow at One and Done CBB on X, on Instagram, and on TikTok. You never know when those morsels are going to drop, and you already follow a bunch of accounts anyway. They just float around in there. Hit those buttons, and you're going to let us be a part of your multiverse. We're dropping a lot of multiverse references here. My guy Mike is a big Marvel guy. The only Marvel movie that I've ever watched all the way through was
Ant-Man.
No, it was for your birthday when we went and saw Endgame. I saw Endgame before I saw any other Marvel movie, which I'm sure drives people like you that have seen every minute of all of the crazy that I started there. But that's okay. It's neither here nor there. Listen, if this is your first time on watching One and Done, this is Endgame. You're watching Avengers Endgame right now in college basketball form, One and Done. We're here to get you this bread. We're here to get you your Infinity Stones, your Infinity Gauntlet of bread, if you will. We're here to do that for you tonight. So make sure we're going to do that 2-3 times a week, doing it big here. So make sure you follow us. Hit all those buttons as we get into this 5-gamer on a Tuesday. Mike, give us your overview of this slate.
Overview time. Well, we thought we were done with free squares, but I'm sure everybody in the chat or people that are watching this tomorrow morning, whatever, you already know if you've even taken a look at the slate that there's definitely at least one free square. I'll call it 1.5. I'll call it 1.5 just because the second guy that we'll talk about There's some injury news around it, and the comfort factor might not be there the whole way. But hey, cool thing is we got all Power 5. We're still calling it Power 5 because it's P6. We're going to move the Big East in Power 5, P5.
Sure.
So tough decisions though when you talk about which studs to play. There's only 7 guys over 8K, so you're going to pretty much be able to do whatever you want. But all these guys are playable. So it makes it pretty difficult. You got to make sure you get the right combination of guys here. Stars and scrubs. It's going to be super chalky once we kind of talk about these free squares. And I love that all these games, Jay, except for the first one we're going to talk about, are within a couple of points of the spread. So at least on KenPom, so we like that as well.
Yeah, we like it when they stay close. You're going to get those meaningful minutes by the best players all the way to the end of the game. Why not? Let's hop into it right now. 5-gamer, as we like to say around these parts. What's first? First game on this one, Mike? Oh, Tennessee and Miami. Yeah, that's the big spread, right? 15 points on that one, at least according to KenPom's metrics. 145-point implied total on this one. All the metrics that you hear from us here on One and Done are KenPom. We love us some KenPom metrics around these parts, as many of you do watching this fine college basketball program. But just so you know, again, if this is your first time hanging out with us, it's KenPom's metrics. And all those numbers mean that you get 80 points implied for the Volunteers of Tennessee, the new El Numero Uno, El Jefe, #1 team in all the land. I was asking you in the pre-show, Mike, we were looking at these numbers, and I was like, Tennessee played much faster than this last year, and that was just personnel, how it worked out. They're back down 282nd in tempo, and Miami is also slow at 287. So these not going to get up and down, and that's the 145 points implied there. And Tennessee being 80 of that, are we going to be able to pay up for the top options because maybe it's a 20-point game with 4 minutes left? Who knows? But Miami is 260th in defensive efficiency, and they give up the 3 ball at 36%. So let's play Zakai Ziegler. Let's start with Zakai Ziegler here. 8,300. I guess I should say let's play because he is an awesome play in any format. The prices come down, which you like. Right. Yes, exactly, Mike. You like that haircut. You like the dip in price there. Averaging 12 points and 8 dimes and has the stock upside too. So great play in any format. Drop down a little bit in that backcourt to Chaz Lanier, 7K flats. No need to worry. My accountant handles that. Nice pivot from Ziegler. But he's shot dependent, right? Shooting 48% from 3 on 6.5 attempts. So 65 attempts. I thought it was 65 attempts already. Still in this young season, that's better than that. He's punting them up. He's getting them up, Mike. The shots are going up for Lanier, and if he's hitting, that's where you're going to get the ceiling of that 7K price tag because he doesn't do much else. He's going to have to light up the scoring column.
Yeah, and when you think about it, for their 2 guys that really fill it up, right? I mean. 15-3, I like them as tournament options even together because if Lanier's hitting the threes, it's probably going to be Ziegler dishing out the assist. They can both get there. It's a little bit tougher, obviously, for Lanier to get there because he just doesn't do anything else. He's going to need probably a steal or 2, a couple of things bounce his way on the peripherals if he's not shooting 60% from the floor like he did against Baylor in the first, 100% from the floor against Baylor like he did in the first half. But yeah, I think Ziegler, like you said, is a fine play in both. And then Lanier, I like him for tournaments as a pivot or even playing them together. I don't mind it. The thing that I'm not going to be going all in on that is because I want to get to Igor Milicic here, the forward at 6,800. I think he's a super intriguing GPP play. I mean, he doesn't play. You're not going to get 30, 35 minutes from this guy, but 25, maybe 28, 29. If the game somewhat stays close, like he just fills up the stat sheet. 23% usage rate, 24% shot rate, a 36% combined rebounding rate, an 18% assist rate, and a 4% block rate. So we haven't seen Tennessee play in very many tight games either. And I think there's a chance that Tennessee runs this thing up to 85, 90 points. And this is just a complete blowout, even on the road, man. Like I just don't like what I've seen from Miami. But, the thing that worries you and why you can only play him in GPPs is because he only plays 25 minutes or so. And he's the difference between why they're not playing as fast this year because they're playing 2 twin towers, essentially. When they're playing Milicic there at the 4, where last year's, Triple J, 6'6" wing type. with Dalton Connect on the wing. So they're basically playing 4 guards and a big last year, where now they're playing 2 twins like like Michigan and some of these other teams are playing now. And they're reaping the benefits defensively. And this guy is so damn versatile that he could you can play through him, obviously, with the 20% assist rate. So I love him as a GPP player. Felix Opara, I'm not as excited about Opara. I mean, he's 6K. Like, if he was like 5,500 in this matchup, I'd probably have more interest in him. He's like your shot blocker, your rim runner. He did put up 19 fantasy points in 29 minutes. So you like them, the minutes are going to be there at 29. If you play him in a game stack and you beat me, I mean, that's certainly possible, but he's going to have to get it done with rebounds and blocking shots and those putbacks. Maybe you get a cheap double-double if he makes like all 5 of his attempts or 6 of his attempts. So in the GPP player pool, but him and Meshack's 5,200, like he should be 4,200. I mean, he plays so many minutes, but he has a 9% shot rate. So he's like your defensive stopper. I plays heavy minutes, but I don't see a reason to really get there. So
so you like the Herbert Jones?
He's kind of like it's just without, he can't play, like he can't, he's not going to facilitate kind of like Herb did with Bama. I mean, he's a great lockdown defender. He'll get you, 4 or 5 stocks, but he's not going to get you. Every now and then, though, Jay, like we laugh because like every now and then he has like one of those random shooting days where you're like, how the hell? Why does Jemai Meshack have 25 fantasy points? It's like, it's because he busted a couple of threes and he somehow got a couple of assists.
He goes like 5x at 1.5% roster to some crazy because nobody wants to pay him. Right?
Yeah.
But it is what it is. And, if you want to be brave, throw him in there and get in there. 6 stocks that night you were talking about, Mike. So, I mean, like that's – I get it. If he gets on, he gets on. Belly ball hopping in there. Okay, Mike, we want to – it's a little bit of getting out early.
Man, belly ball with the Cam, like usually Cam's the one dropping our the stuff later on the show sheet. Potentially the 0.5 there. Yeah, it's a good, nice little tease, and I appreciate the mention here. Man says he's getting to watch us live tonight, so I appreciate that for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Always appreciate you hopping in the live chat when you hang out with us. We get that happens all the time, right? People that watch with their breakfast or on their lunch break or whatever, just trying to get ready for their day. And we appreciate you whenever you watch One and Done and hang out with us here on the channel, whether you watch us here, or if you watch us over on X, on wherever you can find us streaming when we're live, or if you're watching later, let us know. Hop in the comments, hop in the live chat. We always love to hear from everybody for sure. Okay, other side of this first game, Mike, let's go to Miami. Only 65 points implied here. It doesn't look great, my guy. Tennessee is second in defensive efficiency. Yikes. This is another team, Mike, that played faster last year and has sort of gone back to the slowness, if you will. 113 in tempo last year and 288 this year. All arrows sort of pointing in the wrong direction for the Hurricanes. This is not an ideal spot. It is cheaper to get into their more expensive players, more expensive. From a perspective, their most expensive player is Lynn Kidd at 6,400. He played a boatload of minutes against Clemson last game, over 30. But it's just a tough matchup. And I think anybody we talk about on this side, Mike, is probably just a GPP target only, maybe. And we might even consider this one a cross-off.
Yeah, I don't know how much time we want to spend. I mean, when you look at the rest, we have to mention we obviously got to mention the other 2 guys that play a lot of minutes here, obviously, but the 65 implied total is pretty ugly here. We got Brandon Johnson here, the forward. He's 6,300 East Carolina transfer. I mean, the minutes have been there, but he only has a 17% usage rate. So solid rebounder, can get you a couple of stocks, but 6,300, if he's 5,300, I'd be a little more interested in a run back. But I don't know if these guys are even going to get to 65 because this defense obviously is pretty tough. Nigel Pack sitting there at 6,100. He doesn't have much help this year, so a lot of that's evidenced by that game against Clemson. 5.5 fantasy points in 31 minutes, and also he's banged up. So he's been playing banged up. I forget the Arkansas game, he was just willing that team in that game, trying to get that. So. I mean, he's obviously the guy for them. He's going to take he's going to take 100 shots.
He's going to shoot the ball.
I mean, he's going to shoot the ball, but he doesn't do much else. The assist, it's going to be hard to get assists in this matchup. Tennessee's not a team that gives up a lot of assists. they don't give a lot of points. So obviously, there's not going to be a lot of assists. So for everything to kind of go right for him to go to like 4 or 5x, like I think we just cross this side. If you want to get cute and you're playing math multi-entry and you want to throw one of these guys in like a 3-1 or a 2-1 run back, like okay, but I don't know. Like if you beat me that way, then I'm just moving on, I guess, because I mean you're going to be in the 1% doing that.
Well, we don't necessarily. Honestly, you look at a 145 total, and that just doesn't scream like, oh, play me, But when you look at the rest of the totals on the night, it's honestly, it doesn't look that shabby. I mean, it's right there smack in the middle. You've got a couple of games over at a 154, 157, I believe, and 145 is right there in the middle. So it's almost just like the Tennessee side or bust for me, because I'm gonna want to get into that game. Everything isn't gonna be able to come from those other high total games. So it's probably Tennessee. I can't see myself getting to them. All right, there we go. Hanging out with us. Belly Ball hopped in there. C Thuggin hopped in there. We want to hear from you. Are you crossing off Miami tomorrow? Let us know in the chat. Who do you like from the Canes if you are going to play them? Let us know what you think. I don't know, man. It's going to be tough. Maybe somebody these are the guys.
They also like to play a bunch of guys off the bench too. So it's kind of like, I'm not going to I don't want to mess with 10 men.
It's like the ultimate, spin the wheel. It's the ultimate.
Yeah, can you guess which guy goes? And I don't even know if it can even be a guy that goes 4x. So that's kind of the thing. You're spinning and you land on 0 probably if you're playing a Miami guy. So
that guy right there.
You probably will not hear that sound at the end.
No, you would not. You would not. I'm avoiding Miami for sure. Thanks for hanging out with us on YouTube, on X, wherever you are. Push all those buttons that you need to make sure you get to watch us every time we come on. We would appreciate that for sure. Hop in the live chat like Belly Ball and C Thuggin did as we hop into a game that is a lot more inviting. It's a lot more, what's the word we're looking for here? It could be advantageous to be a part of this game for sure. Much. Penn State and Rutgers, a 158-point implied total here, and only a 2-point spread here, according to Ken Palm's metrics. So obviously we love that. Close game, high scoring, and those numbers are up. Those numbers in the first game, those are rookie numbers. You got to boost them up. You got to boost them up a little bit. And that's what we see from Penn State and Rutgers here. Penn State 25th in tempo, and Rutgers ain't too shabby themselves, getting up and down at 63rd. So a couple of top 65 teams in tempo. And I guess Rutgers, they've been all right defensively, pretty good defensively here, but just Penn State gets so many times up and down the court, even if Rutgers is turning them over, they're going to get their chances to score the buckets, and I like the possessions in this one, Mike.
Yeah, I mean, when you see the 80 implied total, there's 3 teams that have the 80-point implied total. So you want to get to them. So like Ace Baldwin, obviously 8,500. I mean, it's the guy that we've been playing for since we've been doing this for 4 years now, at least on live with you guys. So he's the cover boy, obviously. So I don't know if that counts for something, if that gets him up to a fantasy point per minute or 1.25, but that would really help if I knew that.
It's actually it's actually a negative 0.2%.
It actually hurts.
Your opponents. No.
To your opponents.
Okay, everybody else. Yeah. So
okay.
That's the bonus. If you play Ace Baldwin tomorrow,
we should track the cover boy. Actually, we'll start doing that.
Oh,
but he's obviously a stud.
That's a slippery slope, my guy. Because Ace Baldwin goes out there on the cover and then puts up 8.5. It's just like, nah.
Yeah. But I mean, he's obviously a stud, man. He's going to play the whole game if it's tight. I mean, the usage is there, almost a 40% assist rate, 3.5% steal rate. He's an elite on-ball defender. He's going to have to obviously deal with Dylan Harper on the other side. And he can maybe get into foul trouble, which is why I'm a little nervous. He's averaging 6 fouls per 40 minutes. So, there's been times where I've played him over the past couple of weeks, and he's been on the bench with 2 fouls. So,
hey, Mike, you can't get 6 fouls in 40 minutes of college basketball. That's how many fouls this guy gets.
Yeah, man. So I don't know, but he's just an awesome cash play. Even with that, because I mean, he'll be out there regardless. He may lose a few minutes if he gets the 2 fouls, but I mean, when you're paying 8,500, you want the 38 minutes there. So don't mind him for tourneys or cash. So yeah, I'll be having some Ace Baldwin for sure. You got Zach Hicks. at 6,700. Like, he's your stretch four. I mean, he's just shooting lights out. 49% from three this year. Like, he's shown some stock upside too, which has kind of boosted his floor this year. I just don't know if I love the price tag outside of maybe like, you know, you want to get cute with the game stack, trying to win $2,000 with Baldwin. Like, okay, but you're you're shooting for the moon there, which is obviously sometimes what you have to do in a tournament. I prefer Yannick Conan Niederhauser, 6,600. This guy's been one of the best portal additions that nobody's really talking about, at least that I can see from Twitter. But just an absolute beast. Came over from Northern Illinois. Didn't have a great game against Purdue, but he has 30 fantasy point upside. Like, his rates are crazy. I don't really know who's going to guard him on Rutgers. Bole, like that's not going to work. So I absolutely love him as a tournament option, especially as a stacking option with Ace Baldwin. They can both get there. I guess you could maybe mention Puff Johnson here, Jay. I mean, guard forward, 5,400, like mid-20s minutes. Like, you're asking a lot, though, for a guy that's kind of shot dependent. It's got to make his three-pointers. So maybe in a game stack, if you're trying to go, 3-2, or, if you're trying to get like a large game stack, I don't mind using a Hicks or a Johnson, but really a lot of what I'm trying to do here is Niederhauser and Baldwin for sure. So that's where I'm at on Penn State, man. I think obviously with an 80 implied total, you're going to want to get some pieces of this side.
We're going to want to get some pieces of Rutgers too at 78 points implied. It kind of starts with Dylan Harper there, at least in terms of their price king at 9.4K. If it wasn't for Baldwin's defense, I might be a little bit higher on Harper. When you look at the floor, 29 fantasy points.
That's pretty good.
Hello. Thank you very much. Good morning, good afternoon, and good night. But now that's baked into his price, right? So, and as you would imagine, the rates that come with it, 30% usage, 30% shot, 30% assist, 30 for 30 for 30. What if I told you that Dylan Harper was not play for me this time around? I'm going to play the cheaper options, I think, Mike. But
yeah,
he's just too good to count out in any format, right? Like, again, with that floor,
absolutely,
with that floor there, Mike. It is intriguing, especially because
but you wouldn't be shocked if he had his worst game of the year against Ace Baldwin. So that's what's kind of scary.
It's scary, right? So in that regard, let's go down a little bit to 7.4K and Ace Bailey. He gives you the guard forward flexibility, the starting pitcher with relief pitcher eligibility, as I like to talk about it like fantasy baseball. Bailey's been awesome, but he's probably a bit more of a GPP target than Harper, okay? So even at this price, he's averaging 18 field goals in his last 3 games. He can rebound, 4.5% combined stock rate as well. I love the price and the matchup for sure. So give me a little bit of Bailey there on a haircut, 2K haircut from Harper. But man, yeah. I know I'm saying I get off. Is he? I didn't look at it for a second. Is Harper? Who's the price king for the slate?
Yeah, I think it's Harper.
Is it Harper? Okay,
yeah.
So there you go. Like,
that's gonna be super contrarian too, because I don't think,
over 8K,
especially with Ace Bailey being especially with Bailey being $2,000 cheaper and having 30 plus fantasy point upside. Like, I don't think anybody's gonna play Dylan Harper. I'd be absolutely shocked. But obviously you can, because we'll talk about the cheap way. So maybe I'm trying to steam him down a little bit just so I can get like a 5% Harper play to win a tournament.
Who else on this side, Mike?
Yeah, Jordan Durkak, we'll mention him, 5,900. One of those guys in that range where he's like $500, $700, $800 too expensive. But he's in the player pool just based on the game environment. I mean, he put up 31.5 against Notre Dame a few weeks ago. So he's obviously got to make some shots because he doesn't take many. But his all-around production has been there. So, man, like, if you're going to game stack, I guess you can use Durkak here. I'm more interested in Jeremiah Williams at 5,000. So if Ace Baldwin, which I would assume draws the assignment of Dylan Harper here, I would have a ton of interest in Williams. So 4 to 5x upside in this environment, and the price. I mean, yeah, the usage 19%, 14% assist rate, but 4% steal rate, and saw a season high 31 minutes at Ohio State last game. This is a guy that can fill it up too. So I'm more intrigued with using Jeremiah Williams as a stacking option. I don't know how crazy I'm going to go with this. But man, like, you look at this implied total, nearly damn near 160. Like, it's hard to just play one piece from each side, because it's like there's going to be a lot of fantasy points. And these guys outside of Harper, Baldwin 8,500 still. I mean, he was 9K last year at point time. So like, they're not that expensive. And if it wasn't for Ace Baldwin defense, like Harper at 9,400 in a 160 matchup, we'd be playing all day. You know what I mean? So yeah, great game environment. So 2, 3, 4 pieces from this game for sure.
Yeah, I mean, thinking about going, you go Bailey and Williams on the Rutgers side, and then Niederhauser, and I mean, you could put Baldwin in there, and you could still have plenty of
absolutely.
money. You could still have plenty of money. You could go 2-2 in this game, and again, with the highest implied total, it's something that you got to consider, especially mass multi-entry. You're gonna want to get involved in these games that are higher scoring because the one we're about to talk about, it ain't it. I promise you that much for sure. Penn State and Rutgers there, 158-point implied total. We're going to be all over that one, just like you should be all over those like and subscribe buttons and also those notification bells. Boom, turn it on, do your thing, do your part of the Green Screens Media universe, and do, let your broskies and broskets in basketball know about us too. Any of the hoop heads in your life, talk to them about One and Done, Green Screens Media. Who wouldn't want to hop in with me and Mike 2 or 3 times a week and hang out and talk about college basketball?
Why not?
Maybe make a little cash, a little bread, why not? We appreciate you that do that. And we appreciate y'all hanging out with us tonight. So we're going to get through this next one quickly. Providence and DePaul. Close game.
Look at DePaul favorite.
But hey, already won more games.
Yeah, man.
Like twice as many games. I mean, honestly, you could have probably won a
Chris
lot of
Holtman,
money
man.
saying that DePaul would 8-0. What's the record?
I think they won like 6 games, right? 7-1.
7-1.
They lost to Tech by 14 on the road, and that was a close game at halftime. So
that one was closer than the end indicated here.
They're trending 15 wins on KenPom. Last year they had 3. So
good stuff there. Well, that's all the positivity we're going to have about DePaul tonight because this game is ugly, and it starts with Providence, a 68-point implied total there, 350 first base. Yuck! Get out of here. I guess the bright side is when your tempo is that slow, you're always getting paced up. DePaul is 200th, so even they are paced up to the Friars here, Mike. So I don't know, man. Like Cam said, Bryce Hopkins happened there.
We get 5K Bryce Hopkins when he should be 8,500. So here's your free square. Not really much else to say. Obviously, his minutes are trending up. 26 in the first game back, 29 the next game, put up 28.25 and 33.5. He's going to be 8K in a week. So play Bryce Hopkins. We'll move on. There's not much else on this side. I mean, Jaden Pierre, I'm not playing him. He's 6,800. Like with Hopkins back, like he's going to kind of fall back into that same role that he had last year. Like his price is probably going to go the opposite way, and he'll probably end up in like that mid to high 5K range. So I just don't have a lot of interest in Jaden Pierre. Vinsley Joseph would be probably the only other guy in this entire game that I have some interest in. Like 5,700, came over from Miami. High usage, high assist, decent steal rate. I don't mind using him as a tournament, especially if you can play, him at 5,700. Like, we played him at times at 6,500, 7K with Miami. So, yeah, I mean, the game environment kind of sucks, Jay. I mean, anybody else from –
Yeah, it does. And, the more we're looking at some of these prices, obviously Hopkins at 5K flat. Asandiko is right there with him at the same price point, and he got a season-high 28 minutes at Rhode Island a couple of days ago. Might want to wait on him one more time through to see what if we're going to get that consistency, if he's going to play even above 20 minutes, because he would be playable if he was playing 22 minutes at 5K. If I knew it, 24 minutes, it's locked. I mean, it's locked.
Not bad.
I want to see it though. I want to see it again, especially again, game environment sucks, but this is a way to get different. We talk about getting different all the time, and Hopkins is a free square. You're going to play him. Should you spend 700 more and get Joseph and maybe lock into a little bit higher of a ceiling? Or lower, you could. I'm talking myself in a little bit more into Providence here, thinking about it, Mike. I'm not sure if I want to get involved in more than Hopkins, but Asandiko has to be in the player pool, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
What about on the other side, DePaul, 69-point implied total, the mega pace down. Here's where it gets into a little bit of trouble here. Plus top 50 in bench minutes used. No. Yeah, thank you. There we go. Get a thumbs down in the live chat if you're hanging out with us and you're not down with this. Not a lot to love here on this
not
side,
down.
Mike.
Nah, man, I mentioned
great story on their start. That's great. But
that's can't play him.
Yeah.
I mean, two guys to mention because Connor Enright plays the most minutes of these guys. Like he kind of did at Drake, but he's more of like your assists, like needs some stocks from a guard because I only shoot 13% of the shots when I'm on the floor. So 6,300, like he's 5,300, I'd be a little more interested. Pass for me. One guy I'd look at is Leighton Blocker at 6,200 from DePaul. I mean, he's the former Razorback, 24% usage, 22% assist rate. He played a season high 28 minutes on the road against Tech. So you do like that. For this DePaul side, like it's kind of Blocker and nothing for me, Jay. I don't know, man. I just want to get Hopkins and probably just cross this off, but could there be a slate winner like a Joseph or like you said, Isindako or a Blocker? Maybe in a tournament, maybe. I mean, somebody's got to do something in this game outside of Bryce Hopkins, maybe. But yeah, there's so much better plays than in these other game environments. It's kind of tough to talk yourself into it when lock starts to, when it's 20 minutes before lock, and you're like, why the hell do I have two guys from Providence in my lineups? Got you on mute, Jay. We want to hear you. We want to hear you.
Here I am, like I said, talking myself into a couple of pieces of Providence a little bit ago. It feels so icky to do it. But
tournaments, man.
Yeah, just get.
What happens if it goes OT?
If it goes OT and you've got a Sondiko in there and he does play 28, 30 minutes, but if you did spend a little bit more on Joseph, I mean, I really poo-pooed him a little bit leading into it. Now I feel kind of bad because there's some playable pieces if you want to get down and dirty with it. It's not like
it's kind of yucky.
It's not like Arkansas, Michigan is just scoring a bunch more points either on this slate. It's only 144 point implied total for those. Yeah, exactly. But the pace is a little bit greater in this one. And when I say a little bit, I mean worlds difference. As a matter of fact, Muss has Arkansas at 77th in tempo, and Michigan, Dusty Mayo get them up and down a little bit too, 108th in tempo. Michigan's boosted a top 10 defense behind the old twin towers of Golden and Wolf, my arch nemesis Wolf. We'll get to that later. But first, we're going to get to Thiero here at 8.6K. Big time role this year, 26% usage, 24% combined rebounds, 14 assists rate, and a 7% combined stock rate. We love all of those things about Thiero. What we don't love as much is the 8.6K price tag. It's a bit tough to swallow in this one, Mike.
It's weird.
With this one, it is weird. And we're paying for that monster game against UTSA, 45.5 fantasy points, and he basically got everything funneled through him, right? Like, Ivisic wasn't there. Questionable for this one too, Mike. So it just feels weird playing him consistently at this price tag, and it's a tough matchup. So GPP only for me. And then I'm not gonna blame it on the Boogie, but I might play him a little bit at 7.3. He's boomer bust. Boogie, and Boogie knows you. Boogie. Freshman, another GPP guy, right? 25% usage, 24% shot, almost a 28% assist rate, 3% steal. Did I say he was a freshman? Does it even matter at this point? 7.3, boomer bust.
Yeah.
But I think you got to sprinkle him in, Mike.
That's what it feels like on this Arkansas side. Boomer bust, man, because we've had them on 3 or 4 slates. We talk about boomer bust. John L. Davis and DJ Wagner fit the boomer bust narrative all the time, especially now that Davis's price is way down here where Wagner's is. And we know they both have 30 fantasy point upside. If you had told me at the beginning of the year that Thiero was going to be 8,600 and Davis was going to be 5,600, I definitely would have laughed at you. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what Cal's doing with our number one transfer on our big board this offseason. But obviously he's playing next to Flan, who is ball dominant. Wagner is ball dominant. So Davis's rates are way down, 16% usage and shot rate. And we know he has big time upside, but we would need to have that usage and shot rate obviously come up in order to make some things happen. Like, he defers so much to these other two guys, but a GPP target for sure. I'm sure I'm going to lose a lot of money on Jonell Davis over the next couple of weeks. I just don't know. I can't imagine him falling under fire. Like, there's just no way. He's going to have some massive games. And then DJ Wagner, he plays 30 minutes, but he doesn't do anything in those 30 minutes except for once every 10 games. He's kind of the fourth in the pecking order as we've listed him here. He's the fourth guy we're talking about. But it's a fast game, even though both defenses are really good. He has to be in consideration as a GPP target in case he starts making his shots and making things happen. And then really your half free square here. We'll see what happens with the Visage. He's questionable. But Jonas Adu, I mean, he finally looks healthy here. Got his first big minute spot last game against UTSA. He's 3,700, played 27 minutes, racked up nearly 26 fantasy points. If Visage is ruled out, I would imagine he is 75% owned. If a Visage is ruled in, I still imagine he's 70% owned. I just don't see a way that you get away from this guy. Yeah, really tough. I mean, you pretty much just going to lock him in, even if a Visage is playing, because in 20 minutes this guy can put up at 3,700 a 16, and you're like, okay, let's move on, man. Like, so yeah, just one of those things where it's like, if Visage is out, then I don't know. I get weirded out when people don't, when you want to fade this type of punt play when it's clear as day, like,
it's on the platter. Like,
yeah, it's like, just take it.
Why are you overthinking it? Like,
just take it.
You don't have to be the smartest person in the room. Just take the damn fuck free square. Excuse my language there, guys.
Yeah, I feel that.
Hey, I realized when you were talking, I said "muss" earlier. Old habits die hard. Old habits die hard. I don't know where it came from. Old habits die hard, though.
Hey, man. So he's still in red.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah, no, not Coach Muss, obviously, over there. It's Cal down there. Yeah.
Well, if it was Muss, we'd be having like 12 other guys we'd have to talk about. So
I was going to say, yeah, we don't have to worry about the 17-man rotation over there. Hey, let's get to Michigan real quick before we get to the live chat. It's on fire right now. Michigan, 74-point implied total. And, of course, the environment we like here, up and down, fast pace here. This team's clicking a little bit, Mike, although – They're running into Arkansas, who's 19th in defensive efficiency. But I guess they did give up 73 to a bad Miami team. And who else was it? Illinois, they gave up a 90 burger, right? So, yeah. I mean, like, that was should I have said burger since it was Thanksgiving? They gave up like a 90
turkey,
a 90 like a guy. Not great there. Speaking of not great, me and my guy Cam can't get Danny Wolf right.
Here we go.
But
I'll let you rant. I'll be back in 5.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We know he's one of the few guys with 50 fantasy point upside on this slate. The problem is the floor, right? Like, I'm all too familiar with Danny Wolf's floor. Okay. So it's there. It's a problem, but the ceiling is tremendous, and so are his rates. 25% usage, 39% combined rebound, 19.5 assists, 6.5 block, 3% steal. So he does a little chip, little dip, like our guy Eric likes to say. And man, I want to get to him. And I'm saying this right now because
if you play him, you tell me so I can not play him. And
so yeah, you could fade me whenever I do with Danny Wolf. You just fade me there. This is a tough one. This is a tough matchup.
Yeah.
Fierro, Adu.
A Visage. Yeah.
Maybe a Visage. I don't know, man. I'm saying fade him, so he'll probably go for 55 fantasy points.
Maybe, man. And then you look at his teammates, right? Like, they're all under 7K. I mean, you got Golden here, who he is to Wolf, to you, as Golden is to me, because remember when I was playing him at 2-3% 2 weeks ago, and he was putting up like 19s and all that crap, 22s, and not paying anything off in this 6K range? Well, he's gone for 37, 39, and 28, and guess who hasn't played him one time? This guy. So whatever I do with Golden, you guys out there do opposite. His minutes are trending up, which you love. 28, 30 minutes for Golden. What is this? I guarantee if I play him, he'll play 22 minutes. But he's a GPP target because you can absolutely kill your lineup. Both of these guys, man, can absolutely kill your lineup. They have a tough matchup, but I feel a lot safer with the two guards. Donaldson, though, at 6,700, like, this is too much for him because it's hard to see him getting 30 fantasy points. I mean, so for tournaments, I don't think I can get to Donaldson, and his floor is a little bit too low. Like I'd rather just play Roddy Gale at 6,500. I mean, he's going to get 35 minutes.
When's the last time you got Roddy Gale right?
No, that's I don't get Michigan right. No, I don't. Who gets Michigan? The people that have won the money on the Michigan slates get the Michigan people right. I don't. Maybe I should skip the slate. Actually, now that we're talking
did we
about
just
Michigan.
unlock the key? Did we just unlock?
Don't play the slate.
No.
I think you're getting to something, my man. But Roddy Gale, man, the rates are great.
Picking the Michigan play.
I got you. Well, if we play enough lineups, we'll be able to pick enough of them. But yeah, I mean, I love the rates on Gale. We're looking at Donaldson and Gale coming off of this mega pace up with Iowa as you continue to die over there. But I don't mind Gale in cash or tournaments. He has 4 or 5x upside. It just feels a lot more comfortable than clicking Donaldson because no one's going to play Donaldson with Gale being $2,200 cheaper and Golden being $200 more expensive on this side. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. But fun game environment potentially, but I wouldn't be surprised if this game went under. So you got to be a little careful here.
Yeah. Gotta be a little careful there.
We did this show and we're no longer playing.
Yeah, that's all right.
I'll be in for 10 lineups, 20 lineups tomorrow.
I'll be in for a handful myself. Belly ball hopping in there. I know that comment was about Adu. Just lock him in and move on, right? Like,
yeah.
Don't overthink it. Belly ball's got it. And then Smarty E. Look at Smarty E hopping in there. Gonna get gritty to get commas. Yeah, sometimes you got to get in the grid a little bit. Man, that stat correction. That was that comma removing stat correction that Mike had the other night. Took it away. Like dust in the wind. Comma. All we are is dust in the wind. That's that comma was for sure just fluttered away. I was going to say never to be seen again, but we know that's not the case because we're looking we're hunting commas Tuesday on this 5-gamer. We're hunting them down, and we are glad you're joining us because we know you're trying to do the same. So make sure you push those like and subscribe buttons along the way. Here, one more game on this 5-game slate, and then we're going to get out of here. We've got another fine total of 154 points implied here, and that would belong to the Wisconsin Badgers in the old Illini of Illinois. We got Illinois favored in this one, but we're going to start with Wisconsin, 74 implied points here, 194th, 195th. 196. No. Sorry. There's not a countdown counting up. 195th in tempo here with the big pace up by Illinois, who is top 40, which, of course, we dig that all day, twice on a Tuesday. Illinois doesn't turn you over a ton, Mike, either, so the Badgers should get their looks.
Yeah, and this is the game, at least on this side, that I have the most trouble because I look at the pricing and I don't know, something's going to happen here. And John Tonji's been excellent. Probably the best transfer in the country. Like if you were to break down where he was rated to what he's providing these guys, just massive rates, big production. I think he was on one of my 3 GPP winning lineups this year. So shout out to Tonji. And I'm going to go back to him in tournaments because he's burned people the last 2 slates. At Marquette and Michigan, 20 and 26. Price tag's come down a little bit, but I like him for tournaments for sure. John Blackwell for 500 less. Man, could he do anything else other than shoot the ball? That would, he's playing big minutes. He's the second option. I love his upside, just in general, taking out the fantasy perspective of it, but feels like 500 to 1,000 too expensive, man. But an interesting tournament option, if the ball does bounce his way a few times. Max Klesmit, kind of an ugly price tag too. These guys are all tournament plays for me, man. 6,400, he kind of a similar profile to Blackwell, shoots the ball a lot, but what else is he going to do? Is he going to shoot 75% from the field? If you could tell me that, I would be okay, I guess I'll play him. But even then, he's 5X is still going to be pretty tough for him to get to. So it feels a little disgusting clicking Blackwell and Klesmit, even Tonji for that matter. But I feel more comfortable because I've seen Tonji do it. Blackwell and Klesmit, these are guys that are going to be the low owned that I think could be interesting if you find the guy that goes 4.5 to 5X. But And I can't do it, Jay, because I'm done with Stephen Crawl here. I mean, I can't anymore, man. I
We
just
were pretty
can't.
high
And
on
maybe
him
you should
coming
jump
into
on
the
the
year.
bus. Yeah, dude. Like, come on.
I mean,
Like,
kind of felt
lost
like
so much money.
Yeah, it felt like he was in for a monster year, and he just hasn't been able to get it going. He's not taking many shots, so that's not helping out at all. What we do know is that he has a 30-plus fantasy point
No.
upside. Yes, I am telling you what his ceiling is there, and it's above
Yep.
30 fantasy points. It is. So with that
Plugging my ears.
pressure comes the maximum pain that is possible. And when that doesn't happen, and Mike's going to be like, see, what did I tell you? You should have plugged your old earlobes like I did. I don't know, man. It's tough. That's painful. We've had a lot of painful conversations today about certain players. And
not a bad team
and
total, though. It's just these guys are weird for their pricing. Like, the guy's taking 9 shots in the last 2 games. What are we doing? He doesn't play big minutes. Like, I don't know. What are we doing here?
Do you have to play Tanji if you're going to get on the Wisconsin side?
God, like for tournaments, I like him and Klesman. I mean, yeah, I love Crawl for tournaments, man. I just know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
21 fantasy points.
Yeah, I'll probably end up playing in like 25% of my lineup. Stupid like
just to try and get over the just try to get overweight on the field. Yeah, dude, because he's a great tournament play.
Plug him in a couple more times and somebody else might. Why not? Because the upside's there, and if you hit everything else, if it all lines up for you there, that's how you chase a comma, you know?
Belly ball.
Yeah, the floor is not. It's like this is like Midwest tornado alley type basement stuff here with Crowell. Like, it's tough. It is tough. You're right. It's definitely tough. And it is tough, Belly Ball. Your other comment there, the bread truck like backed in on the loading dock. Beep, beep, beep.
Well, it dropped some money off, but some of it didn't. Not all of it fell off the damn thing.
They didn't push. That's the thing, is that they
drove away to someone else's house.
Yeah, which we're gonna have a phone conversation or a strongly worded email or something.
Oh God, I've sent too many of those last year.
Yeah, but they worked. A lot of them worked.
William Kyle rebounding the ball at the end of the game for like $1,000. Those are freaking shot attempt. Like, cost me $1,000 because the lazy ass student that marked the. Okay, we got one more team. Let's move on.
Let's get through Illinois before we go on any more rants. 80 implied points here, and Wisconsin is 87th in defensive efficiency. But we talked about it earlier, Mike, 39th in pace. So even though Wisconsin does play a little bit of defense, Illinois is going to get their opportunities for sure. I love the team total here for Illinois, tied with Penn State and Tennessee for the highest team total on the slate. And it starts with Ivisic at 8.8K.
He's good.
Sometimes when we have players, I search through the Rolodex of superlatives, and I don't always just have one like right there that is appropriate enough to give the player justice and just how good they've been. And Ivisic is that type of player. We'll just say he's a beast and leave it at that, right? 22.5% usage, 24.5% shot rate, 31% combined rebound rate, 13 assists, 4 block, 3 steal, and a partridge in a pear tree, all while shooting 38%, well above the Heinrich line beyond the arc from 3. You know, we don't always encourage the old game log chasing, but let's just look at Ivisic's last 3 here. We got 41.5, we've got a 50 burger, and we've got 39.25. I tell you what, Mike, I would take any one of those totals at 8.8K.
Yeah.
And I feel like he's even at 8.8, he's probably underpriced because who's going to stop him?
Dude, I don't know who's going to stop him on Wisconsin. Stephen Crawl.
That's how Crowell's going to get involved in this one, right?
2 fouls in the first 3 minutes.
I was going to say, let's get really different and put Crowell in a bunch of lineups and then watch him pick up 2 fouls and sit down.
Yeah, I mean,
what else on this Illinois?
Just an awesome play. I mean, I think we'll talk about this in a second, but these two guys, and we were really high on Yakashonis. He's 8,400. Yeah. I mean, he was so good in that Northwestern game. Like, he's already one of the best facilitators in the sport through his first few games as a freshman. And if you're not playing Visage, like, you have to play Yakashonis. He's so ball dominant. These guys, oh my God, they have such good chemistry in the pick and roll. They make really good decisions. So yeah, I'm spending up for one of these two guys, probably in every lineup. And then, I just have to mention Boswell before we get to the core, because he'll play 30 minutes. Just because I wanted to shout out his 15 fantasy points on said bread truck that sped away in 42 minutes.
It's crazy, man. What
42. He had 5 fantasy points in like 28 minutes in the second half and overtime.
It's just a weird night, man. Like, you chalk it up. Honestly, like, everything that could go wrong in that situation went wrong. Like, you just chalk it up, man. Like, it's a tough one.
Anyway, play him if you want. I'm not.
Yeah, I was waiting on you to round.
So he'll go for 30 tomorrow, just so you know.
He will. Probably will. At least 25. But that upside's there, though. We can't pretend it's not.
Yeah, it's not. It wasn't there the other night.
I mean, Mike's going to pretend like it wasn't. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's okay, though. That's all right, though. Well, you don't have to pretend you saw.
I literally sat there and watched 48 minutes when Boswell played.
And he played 42 of them again.
Yeah, 42.
I'm not laughing at your pain.
Yeah, right.
I'm laughing with your pain. No, I'm just kidding. All right. Good stuff there. 5-game slates. Right there in the can. We weren't leaving tonight, though. Look at that last little piece over there on the count, on the old rundown. What does that say? It's the core 4 and more, because we're not just giving you one core 4. No, that would be cruel. Some might even say unusual punishment to only give you one core 4. We're doing 2, and the first one is the cash core 4. Cash games, core 4, and Mike, I have a feeling that these are not going to be too different on this slate with these price points and with the type of players that we're going to be looking at playing here. But just for the sake of it, cash game core 4, Ivasic at 8,800 or Yakashonis at 8,400. So 88 for Ivasic or Yakashonis at 8,400. One of those Illinois players playing off of that huge team total, one of them is going for 40-plus fantasy points. Again, the core 4 isn't necessarily you got to play these 4. These are ways to start your lineups and build them. Start it with one of the Illinois players, and then drop Zakai Ziegler in there at 8,300. Big-time team total, awesome rates. We talked about that earlier. We talked about our free square, too, Bryce Hopkins. He's an 8K player. Boom, hit the lock button. Every time you open the DraftKings app,
seriously.
Now and tip, it should involve you pushing Bryce Hopkins' name into your lineup, and the only decision you should make is whether to put him in guard or forward or utility. Which one? You pick, okay? But he needs to be in your lineup.
There's your decision.
So does Jonas Adu, okay? We already talked about this. It was like the 0.5 free square, but I like what Billy Ball said. Put him in, lock him in, and forget about it. Move on. Too cheap, especially if he's going to get 25-plus minutes. Even if all of the injury news doesn't align and go his way or whatever, play him, lock him in. Like, at that rate,
he's too good. He's a 6-7K player.
Yeah. All right. Good stuff there. So even with going with the more expensive Illini player in Ivasic, you still have 6K plus left per player. It's in good shape. Hopkins and AD help you there, even spending up for Ziegler and one of the Illinois players. All right. So that's the cash game. Mike, how about the tourney core 4?
Well, what's funny, Jay, is that when you have 1.5, we'll call it 2 free squares. When you have that, the cores are going to look pretty similar. So for a tournament, you're going to play one of the Illinois guys, either Ivasic or Yakashonis. You're going to play Bryce Hopkins, duh. You're going to play Jonas Adu, duh. And, man, it was tough. That fourth guy, like, there's a bunch of options in here, man. Like, I obviously like Ace Bailey because one, he's in that really nice team total. I like the other side, too, if you want to play, like a Niederhauser or Ace Baldwin. So, yeah, a bunch of boys you can go this, but Ace Bailey at 7,400. We know he has 35, 40 fantasy point upside at 7,400. Obviously, this one here, it's going to be 51.75 per player here. So, not quite as much. Well, this is with Ace Baldwin in there. You would have 51.75. So you're obviously going to have a little bit more money by taking Baldwin out and playing Ace Bailey in there. You're probably going to get into like the mid or the high 5K range by slotting Bailey in for Baldwin there. So, leaving you a little more coin if you wanted to play. That's probably a lot of the ways that I'm going to play is getting Bailey in there for sure. But yeah, definitely, 5,500 essentially. So a couple of decisions, a little more decision making with the with the core on the tournament. But yeah, man, I mean, it just seems silly. You just play Adu, you just play Hopkins, and then you just figure out how to kind of get different once you get the guys that make the most sense in there, for sure. So yeah, should be you're picking 6 guys essentially. I think you're picking 5 guys. You're playing one of the Illinois guys. You're playing the 2 free squares, and then figure out the other 5. That's kind of where I'm at with everything.
Why can I not stop thinking about Boogie Fland?
Great tournament play, dude. I can't stop thinking about John L. Davis at 5,600. Like that's gonna bother me up until lock.
Yeah, even at 7.3, like.
I think Jeremiah Williams is a great play. Niederhauser, like if you drop Niederhauser and Jeremiah Williams, like that's only 11.6. Like you're still gonna be in that mid 5,500 range. Like so, yeah. Like would you potentially have to get cute on maybe one more value type play? Like yeah, essentially. But there's a lot of different ways to go. And that's why Wisconsin by 30.
Mr. Brooks, so good.
Yeah, Mr. Brooks, G. Brooks.
G Brizzle in the hizzle. Good to see you there, Girth. Thanks for hanging out with us, pal. Howdy. Tip of the cap to you there, my friend. It's always good to see you there. Absolutely. No kidding. All jokes aside, good to see everybody that likes to hop in the live chat for sure. We got a question here, Mike, in the chat before we get out of here. Oh, it's Belly Ball. Favorite cheap option not named Adu. Okay, you just talked about if you have to get a little bit cheeky, if you got to get a little bit cute. When you're talking about somebody down in the cheap section, low tier, anybody come to mind?
That's the problem. There you're gonna be dumpster diving for somebody that you're gonna want to get to 3.5, 4 if you hit. And there's not a lot of options that you can feel soundly comfortable with. I mean, I don't think we named many guys. Jeremiah Williams, I think at 5K is a guy that I'm looking at. If you're trying to go sub 5K, man, like it gets pretty dicey out there. Namari Burnett, someone that we really didn't profile, that you could 47, that you could take a look at him. Yeah, I'm not comfortable with a lot of. Obviously, we got to pay attention too, because something could happen leading up to injury news for other stuff that that happens all the time. Where some guy's comes out questionable tomorrow, and then he's out, and that opens up our second value play. But that's an excellent question. Belly Ball. Like, I think Jeremiah Williams right now, I'm kind of liking him at 5K, even though he's not he's right at that cusp of like the low tier type plays. I think I'm trying to stay in that low 5K with taking a shot with, in tournaments of John L. Davis, like a Stephen Crawl at 5,700. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of one of those deals where I don't know that you want to completely go dumpster diving for the rest of these guys, because it starts to get a little bit ugly as you get down there.
Yeah, it's tough. So figure it out, find a way to not have to go into that super low tier. And ladies and gentlemen, we have royalty in the live chat with us tonight. The Polka King of the Midwest, Gus Polinsky, hanging out with us there. Gus Polinsky and the Kenosha Kickers hanging out. I know you're probably on tour right now, Gus, so it's good to see you there in the live chat, like in Wisconsin as well. Good to see you there, Gus, and good to see Belly Ball in the live chat, along with Girth Brooks, C-Thug, and Smarty E.
Yeah, Cam saying Burnett at 4,700.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's what he said. Yeah, we didn't profile him tonight because his minutes are a little bit down, and they like this. They like Reuben Jones from the North Texas transfer off the bench a little bit there too. So, yeah, it gets a little ugly. Sorry to cut you off there, Jazz. Saw Cam's comment flash through.
If you're gonna cut me off, I don't mind if it's for our guy Cam. For sure. For sure. Cam's saying he feels like Vernon goes 3-4x.
Yeah, I can't do 3x tomorrow, man. There's too many guys in that mid 5K range that have 6x upside. I don't know, man. Bensley Joseph at 5,700 is certainly interesting. Jeremiah Lin's 5K. I think I want to be right there in that low 5 range, getting under. But we'll pay attention to the news because one could pop up that we're like, oh, well, here we go. There's your second tier. Now you can play everybody.
We'll pay attention to the news, and you pay attention to us. Follow us at One and Done CBB over on X. We've been trying to get out in front of this stuff. Anytime we see any of this information, we're trying to at least retweet it into your timeline and quote tweet it, whatever we can do to get it out to you. So make sure you follow us over there on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram at One and Done CBB. Follow at MC Holland 34 for my guy El Capitan himself, the captain of the Green Screens Media ship. Follow my guy at Fantasy Nav in those Twitter streets. Of course, that's Eric the Blue pushing the buttons tonight on the 1s and 2s. At the Real Napier. I don't know. Is he building furniture these days? Like, what is that guy doing?
Never know, man. We need to see him at the top of the leaderboard again, though, like we saw earlier this year.
Yeah, we did. He had a good run there. Him and I were both running hot earlier in the season.
Yeah.
We got some catching up to do, and we're going to do it. Don't you worry. We'll see us up there on the top of those leaderboards for sure. And we got to make sure we're looking out for Nate, 49ers fans. Don't know what he's going through these days. So shout out to our guy, Nape. And shout out to you for hanging out with us. We appreciate all of you for doing your part of the Green Screens Media universe and pushing all those buttons. I'm the conductor of this whole thing. You know me. And tomorrow, if I don't win, let's say I don't win. Okay, let's say for whatever reason, I don't see that comma tomorrow, guys. You know what? I'm not going to blame it on the sunshine. I won't blame it on the moonlight. I'm not going to blame it on the good times. I'll probably blame it on Boogie. Peace.
Thanks for stopping by the office. Get your fantasy prescription by subscribing to the channel and checking out drrodo.com. And until the next visit, be well and take care.